Where did this come from? Buddies Over Bullies.
I was bullied a lot as a kid. And then I would be bullied around the neighborhood, get my ass whooped. I got my first concussion when I was like 5, and then like go home to a drunk dad, you know? So it's like I couldn't catch a break. So nowadays when kids can't defend themselves, it infuriates me. I really have a hard time with bullies, man, you know? And I just feel like they need people to stick up for them. And when you're with us, when you're with me, when you have this connection to me, you're not going to get bullied anymore because we have people everywhere. You know, we're going to take care of you because if you can't defend yourself, somebody's going to help you anyway. We're going to get you involved in a martial arts academy. You know, we'll talk to your bully's parents. I used to get my ass whooped, and finally one day I picked up a rock and I smashed the main culprit's ear in, and his ear exploded, and I didn't really get messed with after that, you know? My pain wasn't in vain. My pain was for a reason. I felt what I felt. God wanted me to feel what I felt so I could help other people overcome the same things that I feel, so we could have compassion for those who are going through the same things. I could have easily went the other way, but I didn't because I used my pain for a purpose, not for a scapegoat.
Tom, welcome, man. Hey, as we were saying before off camera, like most people know you as, you know, world champion, no-gi world champion, your time in MMA. But before that, like the real story behind who you, like we really get our fabric of who we are, our makeup comes from like our childhood. And you've talked a lot about that in the past. Can you talk about the childhood trauma, abuse, violence that you were exposed to, and kind of what shaped you before you even kind of entered the realm of fighting and doing jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, you know, I grew up with a father who was addicted to alcohol and drugs. I didn't even know he was addicted to drugs actually until I was in high school, and I found out he overdosed on heroin. He lived, but he overdosed on it, and you know, I spent a lot of time at AA meetings and Al-Anon meetings and just living in a life where, like, I never knew what I was coming home to. You know, my dad was a good man, a good heart. He taught me so much about how to be a man. And ironically, a lot of the ways I learned how to be a man was to not do some of the things he did, you know. But he would never, like, try to make it seem like he was right. Like, he really struggled tremendously. And he was just he was such a strong physical guy. Like he could take a big brick, like the building bricks, the red bricks, and put it flat and just hit it and shatter it. It was insane. Like I'm the weakest one out of the males in my family, truly. But mentally, he couldn't get over his own demons, you know. And I think so many things that he has done in his past before I was born. He struggled with how he treated my mother, how he treated me, the times he missed. Like, you know, he missed a lot of important times. Like, I don't think he made my graduation. He wasn't there when I broke my school record in the long jump. So I think that in order to like remove himself from reality, he would go do the same thing that made him suffer to begin with. And that's turn back to the bottle or turn back to the drugs. And so I tell all the alcoholics out there now, all the parents that are drinking, like, all your child wants is they just want you right now. They're not going to hold against you what you did in the past. For Christmas, my biggest wish was my dad would be sober, you know? So my life was very uncertain. I never knew what I was going to come home to, whether it be cops coming to my house to take my dad out with, like, where he's going to be slamming cabinets, yelling at my mom, you know, upset with me, or was he going to be a great dad? Because when he was sober, he was an amazing dad. So it would almost probably have been easier if you were just like a piece of trash 100% of the time, because then at least I knew that's who he was, right? But the fact that it would flip-flop so much was difficult.
Did you think that was normal?
I knew it wasn't normal.
You knew?
I knew it was, yeah, I knew it was bad. I felt like an oddball. That's what was really tough. I didn't think my life was normal at all. I knew it was very, very different.
What gave you the point of reference that, like, hey, this is not a good living condition if that's all you knew? Like, what was the...
Because my friends, I never see my friends going through the same things, you know? I never, you know, you turn on TV and you watch, you know, Family Matters and stuff like that and the Fresh Prince and everything seems cool, you know? And then in your own house, it's complete madness. And you're like, you know, there probably was more going on in other kids' lives, like similar to mine, but we just never knew about it. There's been times I had to leave my house to go stay at a friend where my dad was really drunk or something like that. And it was kind of known, like everybody knew my dad was you know, an alcoholic. Like he would coach Little League. He would show up sometimes drunk and aggressive. And it's like, no one wanted to fuck with him ever. So you kind of just let him do his thing, you know, and it was just embarrassing, you know, it was scary at times, you know.
You've talked a lot about in your social media, and I commend you for sharing your story, because I think the fact that you, of all people, can be vulnerable and open and share like your internal struggles with the world publicly, I think gives a lot of men permission to say the same, right?
Yeah, you know, I have a lot of confidence. Like, I'm not afraid to admit anything. I'm not afraid to cry. I'm not afraid because I know, like, I'm confident in myself and I believe in myself. And that's one thing my father always used to tell me, you know, like he taught me from the time I was little. Like I remember him telling me, like, Perry, like, you know, show me how to fight. He was, you know, punch him in their Adam's apple. And I'd be like, what if I hurt them or what if they die? He's like, well, they shouldn't have been picking on you. Right. So it's like that I was brought up to believe in myself. So like, I know as a man, I hold it down. You know, I take care of my family. I take care of my loved ones. I'm there for everybody. So sharing weaknesses, I think, is important because there's a lot of people, if I didn't share weakness, they would look at me and they would look at my life and they would think it's perfect and they would think that they could never do the things that I do because Tom never feels like I feel. He never feels as horrible as I feel, but that's not true. I felt so terrible at times. And there's still times I don't struggle with depression or anything anymore, but there's still times I'm like, fuck, man, like, come on. You know what I mean? Like I get,
Life's hard.
You get tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Life is not, it's hard. It's not supposed to be easy, you know? So I do enjoy sharing these things with people. I don't want to like enable it because no matter how I ever felt, I still did what I was supposed to do.
Right.
And I got up and I went to work and like, you know, my dad would get drunk. I can't tell you how many jobs he was fired from. Like, and then he lost his own business, you know, like it was crazy. Like he was a barber, you know, out here all the time. He'd be cutting hair and he'd be like nodding out when he's cutting people's hair. And it's like, that was never me, you know, like I think one of the reasons why like I am on time and my word is very important because his word was broken to me so many times. My grandfather too, God rest his soul. He was like another father to me. He was an alcoholic and he was supposed to, I'll be down this weekend. And like, remember every weekend I'd be looking out the window, waiting for him to come and he would end up drunk, pulled over on the side of the road somewhere and never show up. So many broken promises to me. I refuse to break promises to people, you know?
Like you said, like you've learned all the lessons that you need to learn from what not to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the irony is like my first cousin, another freak in nature. He's a Penn State linebacker, 6'3", 240, like shredded. His father, my mother's brother, was also a drug addict and alcoholic in and out of prison, and he died of cancer. And he was adopted. We got reunited like a few years ago. And he's like, finally talking to you. He's like, I understand why I am the way I am. He's like, 'cause in my soul, I feel like fire. You know, I feel, he feels this aggression, you know, that I think some of it's hereditary. You know what I mean? Like it's just in your blood sometimes. And on both sides of my family, they're all maniacs, the men. They're literally all insane, you know? I'm a little crazy too, but I think I learned how to control it and make it work for me rather than against me.
I think that a lot of men are, and I just made a video about this, is like a lot of guys are, especially in the veteran and law enforcement and first responder community, they're like hybrid working dogs. And if a hybrid working dog doesn't have a mission or a job, dude, they just destroy everything. And I think that
100%.
And I think that men are the same way. Is if you have a high performing individual, somebody with that fire that wants to like crush life, but they don't have a mission or purpose, they just go dig holes in their life, you know, through the use of alcohol and, you know, women and drugs and bad money decisions, gambling, etc. But if you can get that person focused, right, and that's where like having a father or having a positive male role model in your life to like challenge you and to put you on the right track or help you get to the right track can change somebody's life. Which is what you're
100%.
Which is what you're doing now in a lot of different ways.
And like you said, you have to stay busy. Like right now, I'm not competing. I don't miss competing at all, but I'm so busy. I'm busier now than I was when I was competing, just with different things.
Yeah.
You know.
Going back to your childhood, you've talked openly about being depressed and suicidal in your youth. What pulled you out of that? what was the thing that kind of you said you're no longer depressed anymore, and we're going to get into some of the faith stuff that you've talked about over the last couple of years, but back then, you know, angry teenager, what pulled you out of that funk?
When I was 20, when I finally got help, I'm going to be honest, and a lot of people don't agree with it, but the doctors put me on Zoloft, and they say Zoloft without therapy doesn't work. Well, they're wrong. Like my imbalance of serotonin in my brain was not right. Like I was on the verge of becoming a psychopath. Like truly, it definitely. I felt like a little just blah for a while, probably for like 2 months, and then after I felt blah, I started to feel like a human being again. Like where I would realize like these thoughts that I was having, like no, you can't just take your own life. You got to problem solve. You know. And it just really helped to bring me back to some kind of like center point for sure. The medication helped me. I wasn't overly medicated or anything. And then, you know, my faith, you know, trusting in God and understanding that, you know, we're built to endure, we're built to suffer. And if you look at any great man, most great men have overcame a lot, you know, and then when you look around in the world, no matter what we're going through, and it's not a comparison, but there's a lot of people out there going through some horrible, horrible things, you know? So who am I to sit here and feel sorry for myself and essentially find the easy way out rather than man up and face my own problems and demons and overcome them?
In the last few years, you've really kind of been more open about your faith, and your family, and I feel like it's kind of given you a new identity. You know, there's like old Tom, there's like old Tom, and then there's current Tom.
Yeah. And the old Tom, people really don't know who he was, you know, because not everything is posted on social media.
Right.
Like,
yeah, right. Nor should
you know, yeah, exactly. But like, I always believed in Jesus, you know, but I never really gave myself to him. I never surrendered myself. And, you know, because I always wanted to make my decisions because I wanted to do what I wanted to do because what I wanted to do was fun. What I wanted to do was immediate gratification. And when I realized like his way is actually more fun and to find comfort and to almost like for me, it's like yesterday, I didn't know if my school was going to burn down. Our town was on fire. And Danielle said to me, "You're so calm." Like I said, yeah, I said, because what's going to be is going to be. What am I going to do? You know, and if that's the way it's supposed to be, he obviously has a vision for me greater than I see right now, you know? So I'll always be okay. And I know like I will never fail as long as I do what he wants me to do, you know, as long as with my growth and with my, you know, the more people who begin to know me, as long as I spread positivity and as long as I stay positive and truly help people, it's impossible to fail. And I found the more that I gave my problems to him, the easier my problems were solved. You know, it's almost like a cheat code. And it's like, you don't want to believe it until you actually do it for yourself. And then once I truly started doing it for myself, and my friend Eric Lund, really, really successful guy, multimillionaire, he came into my life out of nowhere when I was really in like a crazy time. And he started talking about God and Jesus, and he accepted me for who I was. He didn't tell me, "Oh, you're wrong, you're this, or Jesus doesn't want," he accepted me. And that's what really, that was the key. You know, a lot of Christians, they like to persecute and they like to throw stones while they're living in hypocrisy. I don't do that. Yeah. He didn't do that to me. So he helped me to really accept. I was able to accept like Christ into my life as like, okay, he loves me for me. And yeah, I could trim the fat figuratively, not literally. Well, yeah, literally as well. And just become a better person, you know, and just really be who I want to be someone who my kids could truly be proud of, you know, be a man that Danielle can be proud to have, stuff like that, you know. And I feel he's done a good job with that. You know, I enjoy where I'm at in life right now.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people hear that and they have a hard time believing that makes a difference in the way that you feel and giving control. And
it's funny because the atheists will still argue with me. "Oh, he's not the reason for your success. You are." I'm like, I'm telling you that it's not me. When I tried to do it on my own, I wasn't getting it. You know, I wasn't happy. And
I just shared.
They can only find out for themselves.
I just shared something that, you saw it, but yeah, it was something that was kind of weighing on me, and it was like, you know, you can do all of this uh, hard work, discipline, grind, leaning into things, um, but like that's only going to take you so far. Like if you really want to become the full version of who you were created to be, and this kind of sounds out there, man, but at some point, the path forward won't be found in discipline, hustle, or effort. It's going to be found in faith. Like you have to have that component in your life, or you're just not going to feel complete.
Nah, no, 100%. And that's what it was with me. No matter what I did, I was never complete. I was never whole, you know, because you don't have faith. You're always comparing yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you're comparing yourself to your own self, like I just don't even really like to compare. I like to live in the moment and just try to reach my full potential. And I know that, like, you know, I'm speaking next week, and I'll get TV time for one championship on Prime Video. It's the first time like I'll be in front of the camera actually talking. I'm not nervous at all because I know my path right now. God will take care of me. You know, there will be no fumbles. There will be no mess ups. You know, everything's going to be smooth. And I actually said to Eric the other day, I wish I would have had this confidence when I was competing. You know, how many ADCCs would I have won? But perhaps I wasn't ready for that then. Perhaps I wasn't ready to bear that success at that time. You know, perhaps it would have got to my head. You see so many athletes, man, they get great success, and what do? They burn it all away.
They
don't know what to do with it.
self-sabotage and blow their whole life up. Yeah.
Maybe that would have been me. I don't know. So I got just enough, you know, but still, I still had enough fire in me to achieve more. And for sure, faith was my way. Absolutely.
Do you think men are walking around today with kind of the same kind of internal war that you went through earlier on, but nobody's asking them?
I'm sure there's some. I don't know. I know my story is pretty crazy, but I know a lot of people have a lot of crazy stories. I don't know how many people went through what I went through and have been able to maintain a level of compassion that I have.
Like, do you think that there's a lot of men going around with internal struggles right now?
100%.
And they're not saying anything?
I see them all the time. I get DMs all the time. You know, it's not just even if you didn't have a tough life, right? Even if you had everything given to you and you're just a working man and you're trying to keep your wife happy and trying to provide for your kids. And it's like, no matter what you do, it's just never enough. Like, yeah, it's hard, man. And, you know, that's why I feel faith comes into play, because when you have extreme faith, you don't need to be praised by worldly people. It doesn't matter. Like, sure, I like to be appreciated, but I do what I do because I know it's what I'm supposed to do now. So I think a lot of people struggle also because of lack of appreciation. No matter what they do, they just can't get a thank you, you know? And we got to realize that's not on us. That's on the people we keep around us. You know, it's up to them to appreciate what we give to them.
Absolutely. So you were, I don't know how many people know about this about you, but you were a school teacher before all this, right?
Yeah. I taught special education.
Tom DeBlass, the Mr. DeBlass.
Yeah, the kids like me, man. I was a fun teacher, but it wasn't what I was supposed to do. It wasn't for me. All the bullshit board meetings and teachers gossip, man, that shit ain't for me.
I can't even imagine. How old were you when you entered that world?
22, right out of college. 22 to 25, I was a teacher.
Wow. And then, so what made you say, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? You're like, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm gonna go punch people in the face and roll around the mats.
Well, I always felt I had a lot more to give than what the school would let me give. Like, I don't feel like teaching to the test and helping kids to pass a test that won't help them in life at all. And it's like, I didn't like having a limit on my salary. I didn't like that either. I didn't like being told what to do all the time. And I really didn't like people who were out of shape thinking they could boss me around. I didn't like that, you know. And I was a little bit unruly back then. So I really felt like, what am I doing here? Like, I was like a street kid, you know, that had to put on a tie every day. And it's like, this just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? Like, every day I had to stop myself from like.
You were playing a character on a TV show?
Yeah, man. You know, it's just, you know, I just didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed the kids. They were fun. You know, I had a lot of fun with them, but I didn't enjoy everything else.
So what was the straw that broke the camel's back that said, I'm out?
I told my teacher, I said, hey, I want to open a school. And I didn't think he thought I was serious. I was a purple belt. And he said, okay. So the next month I opened the school in a little office building, and I put a little sign up that said Ocean County Jiu-Jitsu. And in the first 3 months, I got enough students that I was actually making as much money as I was a school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
My parents supported it, and I said, I got to get out of here, man. I gotta pursue my own passion, you know, and that's what I did.
So real quick on this part of your story has always fascinated me. What gave you the audacity to, as a purple belt, to think that you could start your own, like, how dare you?
Well, you know, back then there wasn't as many schools around.
Sure.
Luckily for me, the next month I got my brown belt, and then I actually won the Pan Ams the month after that. And then 2 months after that, I won the Nationals, and then 2 months after that, I won the No-Gi World. So it kind of worked out that way. But at that time, there wasn't any schools in my town. So
Yeah.
I said, why not? And I knew I was tough. I won a few advanced divisions. So, you know, I as a purple belt now, I wouldn't open because it's a lot more black belts out there, you know, but at that time it's like, and I never cared what people thought, you know, like if you don't like it, do something about it.
No, and that's the thing.
Whatever.
That's kind of my point is I think so many people are thinking they have to wait until this thing to execute on a dream. Like only when I get this raise or the next promotion or the next thing at this point in my life, they set these things in their life to where they're like, oh, I'm going to do it when I hit this mark.
Yeah.
And I listen to guys like you. I listen to like the greats, right? The people that go get gold medals, that become world champions, that, you know, do, you know, 9-figure exits in the business. They don't ask for permission. Not really.
No.
They just go do things. So I always think it's fascinating when I find little stories like that, you know, and I know you asked your teacher and, you know, said, hey, I want to do this. But like, you just don't hear about, you know, Tom DeBlass, the 25-year-old purple belt, go, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to open up my own jiu-jitsu academy.
Yeah. And, you know, for me, I also knew I had the work ethic to back it up, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I feel nowadays, like, a lot of people don't understand the work ethic that it takes. Like, when I was a school teacher, I'd be in school from, like, 6:30 to 3, and then I would drive an hour and a half to Ricardo's. I would train from, like, 5 to 9. I would get home at, like, 10:30, eat, get to bed by 12, be up at school next day, and I would do the same thing. And his school was an hour and a half away from me. I would do that 5 days a week, and it wasn't even a question. It's just what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know, I think people need to understand, like, if you have a stellar work ethic, it'll be really, really hard to fail, right? Because most people think, you know, there's a great quote I heard from Thomas Clifford one time that said, you're either crazy or lazy, right? Like, you have to work so hard. Most people think it's crazy. And that's something I knew I was willing to do.
Yeah, my
So
former
that definitely
team.
gave me the confidence.
Yeah, my former teammate and I, we would always kind of say the same thing. It's like, well, too dumb to quit.
Yeah,
Like, so
exactly.
You just keep going forward no matter what. Too dumb to quit.
That's it, bro. 100%.
So you didn't start like MMA. You didn't just get the Bellator didn't call you and be like, Tom, we want you to step into the ring. Like, what was your MMA coming up like? How did you get to Bellator?
Well, first I fought when I was training for like 2 months, and I wasn't training jiu-jitsu at all. And I got my face beat in. My corner threw in the towel. It was like pro rules. It wasn't ruled as a pro fight then. And then I got with my current professor, Ricardo Almeida, probably like 6 months after that. And then I started training jiu-jitsu, really like focusing on jiu-jitsu. Got my purple belt. I did another amateur fight. I won, and then he didn't want me to fight pro until I was like a world champion, you know. And then finally, when I got my black belt, I was already ADCC veteran, ADCC trial champion, Pan Am champion. I had all my jiu-jitsu titles. I decided to start fighting professional MMA, and within 2 years, I got called up to the UFC. And I actually pulled out of my title fight in Ring of Combat because I broke my ankle. UFC called. I took the fight anyway. It was on a week's notice in Sweden. Wasn't ready. Lost a really, really tough decision. 2 months later, they sent me to China. It was my first cut to 85. I lost another tie. I fought Ricky Fukuda, who was I think he was like 27-7 at the time, and he was my 8th fight, I think. He had a lot of experience, and he was from Asia, and I was fighting in Asia, and I just wasn't ready for that level of experience back then. And again, it was another tough decision. We scrapped pretty well, and then I was like, I don't want to do this shit anymore, you know. So I told Joe Silva at the time that I don't think MMA is for me. He's like, you know, maybe just fight some more and you know, locally and see how you feel. And I really didn't feel it. But then like the next month, Bellator I heard was coming in New Jersey. And I was a big draw. I would sell like 500 tickets in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the okay from Joe Silva to go ahead and do it. And I ended up fighting in Bellator. And I won by TKO. And then I fought again in Bellator and I won by knockout. And then that was my last Bellator fight. I was supposed to fight King Mo after that, but I hurt my knee. And then I just, I really wasn't loving MMA. I only fought MMA because I felt it's what I was supposed to do. I never loved fighting MMA, but I was young enough, healthy enough, and talented enough to do it. So my MMA career was relatively short. My record was 9-2. It was decently successful, but jiu-jitsu was where my heart was at for sure. Because I was fighting when I was running my school, and I was a father. It was a lot. It was hard, like doing everything, and I just couldn't keep up that level of the training 6 a.m., 12 p.m., and then teaching all night, and then being dad in between. Like it was so hard.
Yeah. What did you do jiu-jitsu related after? Like, what became your focus when you left MMA?
I jumped right back into it. I got back into it. I had my first match back. I had a super fight that I won, a local super fight, and then I jumped in the ADCC trial. No, I jumped in the Nogi Pan Ams, the black belt division, and I won that as well in the adult division. And then I did the ADCC trials, and then I won that. And I was like, I'm back, baby, So I had an ADCC New York super fight against Renato Babalu. I won that. And then I just competed in jiu-jitsu from that point on for the rest of my career. I won another trials after that as well. And, I was half coach, half competitor, full-time dad,
Yeah. What did, so what do you think, competing in jiu-jitsu, fighting, et cetera, gave you that nothing else could ever? Like, what did you pull away from that you learned?
Just doing things that are uncomfortable, like forcing yourself to thrive in uncomfortable situations. I competed for a good 15 years of my life, and I don't think I ever really enjoyed it, but I never ran from it. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what I was supposed to do. Like, martial arts was my profession. So why wouldn't I be competing? Why wouldn't I be if I was young enough to do it? So I think just getting out there, being able to win some really cool things. And I lost some really important things as well. You learn how to overcome, you learn how to learn. And it's a true testament to, like, you find out who you are. How do you react in tough situations? You get in those tough matches. Like, I've had a no-gi jiu-jitsu match that lasted 63 minutes. You have those moments where it's like, yeah, you find out about yourself, and it's good, because maybe in the beginning you're not exactly who you thought you were, right? But the whole goal is at the end to be the man who you always thought you would be under pressure, and I was able to do that for sure. Even the matches I lost, I was never got my ass whooped, you know what I mean, ever. So that was always really important to me.
So you have, like, I've been up to your school. It's a love-hate relationship coming up there. I love going
for sure.
I love going up there. I don't love, getting my ass kicked by Cam. Dude's got my number.
He's a problem.
He's a problem.
Yeah.
But so you've created some world champions. You've created some absolute killers on the mat. Is that what you want your legacy to be known for, or is there something bigger than that?
I think just anyone who's in my presence, I want them to become the best version of themselves, and I really enjoy helping these bullied kids. I really enjoy being an inspiration to other people. If people train under me, I want them to do well. But the thing is, people got to understand, like, it's not easy. You got to be willing to suffer in competition to, a lot of athletes nowadays are not built to endure the way they used to be. Like you got to be careful. Like, my professor with me, like, when I was a purple belt, if I lost, like, you couldn't go back and say I lost. You know what I mean? Like, he was very tough, like, nowadays, if you don't coddle people, they'll get sensitive. So you got to be careful. Like, Cam is not sensitive at all. Yeah. But again, he's still a young man. Let's see what happens. He's 22 years old. He's gonna, is he gonna fall in love? Is a woman gonna pull him away? You don't know. So to be world class and to truly make your mark, you have to stay focused through everything. Like, when my father died, he died on a Wednesday. I was teaching a seminar on a Friday, and I was teaching in my academy on a Thursday because other people needed me. His death sucked for me, but at the same time, life around me didn't stop. So I didn't have time to go mourn. You know what I mean? I had to be there for the people who needed me. So I think that's what competitors need to understand. It's not just about when you're competing. you got to be there 100% of the time. Like your life has to be jiu-jitsu, you know? So for me though, it's like if I get a student and I can help them lose 50 pounds and feel better about themselves, that's just as important as creating world champion. You know, like for me, as long as I can make you the best version of yourself and make you happy, I'm happy.
And that's kind of what you want to be known for, bigger picture.
Yeah, just a dude who like has a God-fearing man that really does his best. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm better than or who I'm worse than, but I know I give my best, and I feel I'm one day going to reach my full potential. Not there yet, but eventually.
You've mentioned a lot that your coaching philosophy back in the day compared to now is pretty different.
Yeah.
Like how
Yeah.
it was pretty hard back in the day is what you alluded to,
Yeah.
compared to now. But you've said things like, you know, trying to, you know, building strong minds, you know, resilient people matter more than medals. And you've talked a lot about that. How is that shift? Like, what was the difference in the coaching philosophies and what got you to where you're at today?
You know what it is in jiu-jitsu? It's the only sport where you can get a dude who never has competed in their life that says, I want to be a professional jiu-jitsu athlete, right? So when I started, I was already like used to abuse. I've seen people get their faces smashed in. I've seen real violence. So there's nothing that my teacher could bring to me or say to me that my father hasn't said to me already. He couldn't scare me away. You know what I mean? You talk shit to me, it gets me fired up to come back the next day. But when I bring that same mentality to some of my other competitors, I thought they wanted to be a competitor, but never really endured any hardships in their life, and this is their first hardship, it would make them run the other way, you know? But when you go to a pro, you know, go to the NFL, see how the coaches talk to the athletes, you know, go to the NBA, see how they talk. Go to a college wrestling room, see how tough it is, you know? So I think we need to be softer in jiu-jitsu because I believe that people in jiu-jitsu are naturally softer because they haven't grown up in an environment, you know, not everybody's like you. Not everybody's is like, not everybody's an athlete who starts. So we have to be careful. And then I tell myself, like, there's nothing my teacher did. Like, there's no harshness that he brought me that made me train harder. It just didn't make me quit. If you really want to be a competitor, you shouldn't need to motivate. You shouldn't need to be motivated. Like, I shouldn't have to motivate my athletes. They should already be motivated. You know, I shouldn't have to fire them up. No, they should already have that dream and desire burning within them. If anything, I should have to tell them to calm down and stop training so hard. So I find that people who I have to stay on, they're not worth my time.
Yeah.
You know, so go away, go train somewhere else or waste someone else's time. You know, I have people who never want to keep you, but they're there all the time and they get my attention as well.
Yeah.
You know, I just be a man of your word or a woman of your word. Don't tell me one thing and then do it different. That drives me insane.
You call people out on that?
I used to, not anymore.
Yeah.
It's not even worth it anymore. I just, whatever. You know,
Yeah,
I used to get pissed. I used to talk a lot of shit, but now I'm just like, whatever.
I agree. I don't like the whole motivation thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm just not motivated. I'm like, it has nothing to do with motivation.
Yeah, grow up.
No world champion, nobody that achieved anything did it based off of like only did it when they were motivated.
100%.
I'm motivated probably 1 out of 10 days. You know what I mean?
That's more than me.
Like every once in a while I'll wake up and be like, damn, I'm super motivated to knock all this out today. But for the most part, man, it's like I'm just going through my routine. I'm just doing the thing regardless of how I feel, period.
100%. You know, that's the same way I am, bro. I don't really remember being motivated in a long time. But I don't even need to be motivated, though. Like you said, it's just what you just do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
You know, and that's it. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what I need to do. And that's it.
What was your relationship with Gary Tonin?
I got Gary when he was 15 or 16. He was with me solely through his black belt. Solely under me, he won the Nogi World Championships 2-time at brown belt. Won the absolute Pan American Games at brown belt. I won.
We're gonna lose him.
Seems like an internet problem this time.
Back. You're back.
You hear me again?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
It's Gremlins.
So,
Anyways, you were telling me about Gary Tonin. You got him when you were 15.
Yeah, I got him when he was 15, 16. He was a tough. He had severe ADHD, but he won some cool things with me. The Pan American Games, Absolute Division, and brown belt. He won the Nogi Worlds 2 times at brown belt. He won the ADCC trials. I promoted him to black belt, and then he started going to college at Rutgers. It was closer to the city, so we started training in the city, and then that's when he stayed in the city at Henzo's with Tanner.
So did he start with you at 15, 16 for the first time?
Yeah. He was with me, only with me through black belt. And then after a black belt, he went to
as a white belt, though?
Yeah, as a white belt.
Holy cow, man. So you brought that guy up.
Yeah, he was a know-nothing kid. And, white belt to black belt through me, for sure.
So, like, you guys, have been very open about bullies and kids overcoming trauma and things like that. So where did this come from? This Buddies Over Bullies, and then, like, why have you taken it such a hard hit, personally, and where does this whole mission come from?
I just really, I have a problem with people getting picked on that can't defend themselves. It's are you catching me right now, or no? Am I breaking up?
No, I am.
I was bullied a lot as a kid, and then I would be bullied around the neighborhood, get my ass whooped. I got my first concussion when I was like 5, and then like go home to a drunk dad. So it's like I couldn't catch a break. So nowadays, when kids can't defend themselves, it infuriates me. And no matter what I went through, it never made me want to take out my anger on an innocent person. I really have a hard time with bullies, man, and I just feel like they need people to stick up for them. And when you're with us, when you're with me, when you have this connection to me, you're not going to get bullied anymore, because we have people everywhere. We're going to take care of you, because if you can't defend yourself, somebody's going to help you anyway. We're going to get you involved in a martial arts academy. We'll talk to your bully's parents. We'll get it done. We'll make sure it doesn't happen again. And there's a lot of kids out there that they don't have their own voice, and they need to be heard, and they need to be taken care of. Kids are taking their own lives. They can't get away from it anymore. Social media, no matter where they go, they're just getting hurt. And I can't take it. It drives me really insane.
Yeah, I kind of thought it wasn't happening anymore until you guys started, because I'm like, kids are too chicken shit. Like, back in our day, like, they'd fight you. People got in fights. And then when you started sharing stuff, I'm like, oh, there are still kids that are doing stuff. I thought they were all too chicken shit.
No, well, they are chicken shit. That's why they're picking on the kids who can't defend themselves,
So, like, obviously bullying and this thing that's happening to kids, and like a lot of kids, like you said, a lot of young people they're kids, they're young people taking their own lives because of this, because they just can't escape it in their life ever. And that's just freaking heartbreaking as a parent. But I think that's a symptom. What do you think the actual root cause of all of that is, like, kids behaving like that?
I think everybody wants to, I think social media, to be quite honest. I think this whole world star bullshit that started a few years ago, people knocking people out and hurting people rather than helping people. They think they get more likes that way rather than, stepping in and actually helping people. I think they want to be cool. They want to be recognized. And no matter how they're recognized, any recognition is good. So you see these girls out there, posting half naked. As long as they're getting likes, they don't care, not realizing any fool of a man is going to like their picture. They don't know how to go about getting attention in the right ways, I feel. So maybe some of them feel slighted at home. Maybe some of them are getting bullied by their parents. But I just think they're trying to be cool and post on social media and look like you got kids. You got kids throwing up gang signs that live in the suburbs. That think gang signs are cool. Like, come on, bro, grow up.
I always think it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. I think it has to do with fathers and where fathers are showing up, where they're not showing up, what example they're setting. Like how many kids that are bullies have an active father in their house that is setting the right example and leading from the front.
And how many parents know what their kids are doing on social media?
Yeah.
You know, how many parents are taking their kid's phone and looking at it? Your kid needs no privacy.
No.
I don't give a damn about their privacy. Come on, bro. You're under my roof. You're not 18 years old. You have no privacy. I'm going to read everything I could because I need to, because there's animals out there, you know?
And that goes back to it's you being a father. It's you being a father that's taking the responsibility of your kids, because they are your responsibility.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. Totally.
So on that, you're a father. You've walked through some fire in your life. What type of father are you? Like, what are you intentionally passing down to your kids? What kind of conversations are you having with them?
I'm a little too soft, to be quite honest, but you know,
you're getting older. You're getting older, Tom.
Yeah.
It happens.
You know what it is? A lot of me doesn't want my kids to feel like I've ever felt. So, you know, but I'm teaching them a lot. I explain to them my life. They know what I've been through. I'm on page 167 of the Kids Action Bible with my son. They know God. We hit pads together, even though it's like pulling teeth to get my son to hit pads. He still does it. My daughter's really good at it.
Your daughter's scary. I saw that last one. I was like, oh, I don't know if I need to step up there anymore.
Yeah, she cracks, bro. She hits hard.
Yeah.
And even her, she doesn't really want to do it, but I make her do it. You know, you have to do it. So they get good grades, and you know, I do believe they'll both be business moguls of their own. But you know, number one thing is they know that their dad loves them. You know, they know I work really hard for them, and I do anything I could for them. And I hope to instill a work ethic in them as well. And for them to know whatever they want, if they want to be great in anything, it takes a lot of hard work to get there. You know, and that's what I hope that they see from me.
How have having kids changed, and maybe it changes, you know, in different stages of your life, because probably when they were younger, you were in a different place in your life compared to now. But has being a father in this stage changed your idea of legacy and a change of like the type of man that you want to be seen when you're gone to them?
I mean, you know, it's funny. They know there's two versions of their dad, or a few versions of their dad. They know that they can come to their dad with anything. They know that being my child is good, right? Like they get a little bit more respect, and the bullies really aren't going to come after them, although I think they can handle themselves. But, you know, I want them to remember me as someone who always put them before I put myself, you know, someone who did a lot of work that I didn't feel like doing to make sure they had a good life, you know, and someone who generally, if they did something wrong, I wouldn't talk at them. I would talk to them, and I would explain to them. I would teach them. I have patience with them. That's one thing I do have with my kids, a lot of patience. And I'm happy that I do, because, you know, anytime my son wants to try to help, like I remember when I was younger, I would try to help my dad do something. Oh, no, let me do it. And I just wanted to be a part of it, you know, even though I would probably mess it up. So my son wants to help with something, even though he might mess it up, I'll let him help. You know, I'll let them be a part of it. Anytime they ask to do something that requires some kind of work, I'm going to let them try, you know. And I don't think they'll realize how good of a father I am until they're a little older. But, you know, we don't do it for that, right? We do it just because it's what we're supposed to do. But I hope they remember me with, you know, a hardworking man who will do anything for the people who need things to be done for, and one who truly, truly adores and loves them.
Do you talk to them about all this bullying stuff?
Oh yeah, they know. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What's their, you know, being at their ages, because you're helping a lot of the kids that are their age.
Yeah, they don't like it. You know, my son has a really good heart. You know, he's a very kind soul. My daughter's kind too, but she's a little rougher around the edges than him. I don't think they quite get it. Like to some extent, I don't think they truly understand what some kids go through, because they don't go through it. So it's hard. We just got the fires in town yesterday, and I told Danielle, I was like, oh, I can't sleep thinking of all the pets that might be trapped. I said, this happens every day. I said, you sleep fine just every day, right? I said, when it happened in California, we're having trouble sleeping. And I wasn't trying to be a dick.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, it's never real until it's close to home.
Of course.
You know, it's where I always feel compassion for everybody, but at the same time, I'm not going to lose sleep over anybody, right? Because the moment I start feeling so much compassion, it makes me still and it makes me paralyzed. I can't do my job anymore, right? So I have to stay a little bit desensitized. So I want my kids to, they understand that treating people kindly is imperative, but also taking no bullshit either. You know, there's a fine line between turning your cheek and standing up for yourself, and they're doing okay so far. I'm thankful.
Good. So real quick before we go into, because I want to talk about your book and then jiu-jitsu, but what is the mission of Buddies Over Bullies? How are you organized, and like how can people support that?
So basically, any child who's having issues, their parent reaches out to me. I find them training in their area where they could get trained and they could get help. A lot of times when I have people who are getting bullied because maybe they don't have proper school clothes or a book bag, I'll buy those things for them. I'll just take care of them, you know. And it's basically, I'm the one doing it all right now for the most part. People just reach out to me and I'm the one who facilitates everything. I've gotten some nice donations from my friend Eric, from my other friend who runs a video gamer podcast. You know, so that definitely helps. But how to help is just reach out to me and ask how to help. You know, I think I granted like 30 to 50 free memberships in like the last 6 months in my own academy with people who can't afford it.
Have you seen this thing long enough through to where people are getting, you know, these kids are getting training and it's fixing the problem, or what do you think the result is actually fixing?
It's helping a lot, man. Yeah. The result is they're gaining confidence and
is that what it really is?
Them being a part of
is it just, you think it's just they need more confidence and they don't get bullied as much?
I think them being a part of something also, where people know they're a part of something, also helps, right? Like, you're not going to pick on somebody who has a pretty tough squad behind them, right? Like, if you see a little boy in the corner, somebody might be inclined to pick on them until they find out that little boy has a big brother who's a bad dude, right? So I think some of that comes into play as well, that they have backup, you know, and then they do have the confidence to know that they have backup, and then they have the confidence because they understand what confrontation is, and, you know, hand-to-hand wrestling around, they feel a little bit more confident to stand up for themselves. And I just think they're happier. You know, they don't need the attention in school because they get the attention on the mats and they have friends off the mats. So I think that helps a lot as well.
I think this was 1988 or 89, and I used to get picked on. I was a little scrawny little kid. My mom said, "You were such a," that's how they all described me. "You were a sweet boy up until puberty. You were just a sweet boy." And I was, and I got picked on a lot. And I never forget, I was in New Mexico, Taos, New Mexico. And one of the local kids, we had moved there. We're in this school, and he was just picking on me like hardcore. And keep in mind, it's got to be 1988. And he's like, we're in the parking lot. I like black out. And the next thing I know, I have his back in a gravel parking lot, and I've got his ears, and I'm bouncing his face off the gravel parking lot. And so it gets broken up, and I get taken to the principal's office. And this is back, there's no computers. So, like, there's just a desk with papers and then 2 chairs in front of the desk. And he made me and this kid sit in these 2 chairs what felt like, Tom, like 3 hours. And I thought he was going to talk to us, and he never talked to us. So finally, after a while, like we're all scuffed up from this parking lot brawl that we just went through. This kid was picking on me for like 4 months or something, until I just snapped. And he's just, you know, processing papers. You know, now I look back and like, before you had computers, I'm like, what the hell were you doing at your desk?
Yeah, what's going on,
What was
bro?
going on over there for 3 hours sitting at his desk? And so we started kind of cracking up. Like, we were looking at each other like, dude, is this dude broken? Because we're just sitting here looking at each other. And as soon as we started looking at each other and started giggling, like, what is happening right now? He looked up, and he said, "You two can get out of here." That was it.
Oh, wow.
That's what happened. And you know what is the craziest thing is me and that kid became friends after that.
That's incredible.
And
I love that, bro. It's funny. That's interesting, right?
And I think it just came down to like, and I wasn't raised with my father in the house. There was a stepfather that was physically abusive, but he did like a gas oil rig, so he would come and go. He was never there all the time.
In there, yeah.
So he would just come fuck shit up for a while and then leave, and then have to deal with that up until I was 11. But I had to learn to stand up for myself, and it was just I'd had enough, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, so thinking about what you're doing now is like getting those guys training is, and having them the confidence to go, you know what, dude, like even if I lose a fight, so be it, but I'm not going to let you mess with me. Like I'm going to stand up for myself.
Yeah. It's imperative. That's what happened to me too. I used to get my ass whooped, and finally one day I picked up a rock and I smashed the main culprit's ear in, and his ear exploded, and I didn't really get messed with after that,
Yeah.
And I liked the way I felt as well. I enjoyed it. That's why I take people to understand as well. Like things can't always be talked out.
Right.
Sometimes bullies need that ass beat. You know what I mean? And it's just dangerous nowadays because people are I don't know, a bunch of cowards out there, man.
Yeah.
There really is, So I just want everyone to get along. And unfortunately, I think Buddies Over Bullies is never going anywhere because there's always going to be kids getting bullied.
But and I guess that's the thing is like as a father, as a man, I want to empower them to stand up. Like someone's not always going to come save you.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be able to stand up for yourself. You have to be able to have the skills to where you can take care of yourself. It's just a requirement. And you talk a lot about that with the cops. You talk a lot about with, men in general. What is that meme going around that I think you posted it? Men overestimate their ability to fight by 400%.
It's so crazy that men think they can defend themselves when they've never trained a day in their life. It doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's so odd to me. It's strange. It's like, I don't think I'm going to go out there and play baseball. I mean, I could swing a bat. Doesn't mean I'm good at it.
And I guess that's my biggest thing is like, I don't think, unfortunately, bully's ever going to go away. But we have to do a better job. And it's not, I guess in today's day and age, it's not a popular opinion to get people to stand up for themselves or to go punch somebody in the nose. But in the reality is like, that's sometimes required.
Yeah, I tell my kids, if anybody gets in your space aggressively, you beat the shit out of them, and you don't stop hitting them until they don't get up. That's it. That's it. They stop standing up. Every time they stand up, you beat that ass again. It's either you or it's them. You know what I mean?
So then what's your message to these schools that are like, don't do that? And then they're like getting the kid that stood up for himself in trouble.
It drives me crazy, bro. Like, it's something I can't even understand. If they're not going to let kids defend themselves, they better defend the kids, and they're not doing that. So I mean, what do they expect? They leave us, they leave us no other choice. We got to defend ourselves. Our kids got to defend themselves. It doesn't make sense because they're not helping at all.
Why do you think that we have this breakdown? Like, I can't stand up for myself. I'm going to get in trouble if I stand up for myself, but then they're not going to protect them. Where's this? What are they saying? Because you're talking to these parents, you're talking to these things. What is the rhetoric that they're saying that's getting them to, I don't know, believe the shit that they're saying?
I don't even know if they believe it. I think things have changed so much the last few years and the last 6 years or so in the country where like we kind of went backwards.
Yeah.
And I think we're kind of lost a little bit. Like, I don't even think the people who are enforcing the laws believe in the laws, to be quite honest. I think they're just doing what they think they have to do. Mm-hmm. Everybody's afraid to lose their job, and they think that like, no one could fight is going to solve problems. Or no, that's not going to solve problems because the kids who are bullies are going to keep fucking care if they get suspended. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, man. What are they? I really wish I had an answer. I
just always go back to, man, I know it's like I bang this drum a lot, but I just always go back to fathers in the homes. Like, what is the dad? What is the dad
it's
doing?
Imperative. And they never will be there though. That's the thing, right? It's the beginning of time. How many fathers are absent?
Yeah.
How many fathers think they're good fathers and they're not? You know, like they need help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They need help. People need help. We never stop growing as a dad. And I tell my kids as well, like I want my kids to tell me if I do anything to upset them, or do I speak to them in a way that they don't like. And I want to hear their point of view. I'm not always going to agree with it, you know, but I want to hear what they have to say, you know? And I think it's important to know in order to grow. We have to keep growing.
What so you wrote a book, How You Bear It. And people say like that book punched men right in the soul. What's the core of that message? What did you want to get across to people?
For me, I think a lot of people saw my life and they thought I was lucky, you know, like, oh, Tom has it. Tom has everything. And I don't think they really realized, and I still don't think they realized. My mom was like, did you put everything in that book? I was like, no. She's like, oh, thank God. Like, that was a PG version of my life. You know what I mean? Just for people to realize you could have a really tough time in life.
When's the X-rated version coming out?
I don't know. That would do well. But I don't know if, oh man, my dad would be spinning in his grave.
You gotta wait till the statute of limitations run out on some things. Maybe when you're 80.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of crazy things, man. But I think just for people to see, like, everybody goes through struggles and we can make it out. You know, it really, at the end of the day, no matter what we were brought up in, no matter what we endure, our life belongs to us. And there's no excuses, right? We have to take the bull by the horns and we have to attack life and get the things we want. No one's going to do it for us. We have to do it for us. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it's not sad if you endured a bad life or if you were abused. But at the same time, just because you're abused doesn't mean people are going to give anything to you.
Yeah.
You got to go out and get it. And I think that was a big part of it. And I think forgiveness was a big part of my book. I've always forgiven my father. You know, learning how to work hard when you're still going through turmoil is very important, you know. There's a lot of lessons you can take from that book. But overall, I think just men understand, like, you're not alone. Everybody struggles, man. Everybody.
You're not a special butterfly. That's what I always say. You're not a special butterfly.
Yeah. No, there you go.
You said it's not what you bear, it's how you bear it. But how do people bear it? How do we increase that?
I think surround yourself. I think Jesus, number one. I think Jesus, he bared the ultimate sacrifice, right? I just watched The Passion of the Christ the other day with my daughter. I get so angry watching it. I actually just ordered a flogger so I could beat the shit out of myself a little bit. I think that's important. I like that shit. Not everybody's into it. I'm into it. You know, I think surrounding yourself with men who are also like-minded as you. Yeah. I think people that want to become better, people who don't take excuses, people who tell you what truth is, people who tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. I think all these things are imperative. And I think to be able to look in the mirror and realize, like, hey, I might not be where I want to be right now. But it doesn't mean I can't be where I want to be as long as I start working today. You know, and it's a constant process. It's never too late. It's a constant evolution. I'm going to be 43 in May, and I'm happier than I've ever been, and I feel better than I've ever felt. I didn't feel happiness winning the titles that I won or being 24 with my own business, and that's whenever, you know, like, I didn't care, you know, like, but now I'm happy because I put things into perspective, and I will say till I'm blue in the faith, man, faith means everything to me, you know?
Yeah. But you have to have the mental and physical resilience to bear it, right? Like, if you're not doing hard things, like you mentioned, you're not challenging yourself. You're a little bit of stress in your life, you're gonna fall apart. Like, you have to go put yourself outside of this comfort zone so that you can handle. Because when life hits you, then you're like, well, this ain't that fucking bad. I can handle this. Because you've done a bunch of hard shit.
I always say the men who are able to suffer the most are usually the ones who find the most success. You know, you need to be able to bear it. You need to be able to feel it.
What does it mean to you when you say transform pain into purpose? Like, how do you actually do that?
Everything that I dealt with in my life, it gives me the opportunity to understand how people going through it actually feel, but it gives me I know we used the word motivation before.
Yeah.
One thing I am motivated to do is help these people to get over the slump that they're in, so my pain wasn't in vain. My pain was for a reason. I felt what I felt. God wanted me to feel what I felt so I could help other people overcome the same things that I feel. So we could have compassion for those who are going through the same things. I could have easily went the other way.
Right.
Easily, but I didn't, because I used my pain for a purpose, not for a scapegoat.
You lean into it.
Yeah, you
So
absolutely.
leaning into things, and I don't know I don't know if you have an answer to this question, but was there a time where you failed to live up to your own message? And then if that's the case, how did you face it?
I mean, probably up until recently, yeah. Like I would let my emotions get the best of me. I would act out of emotion and rage sometimes. I would be vengeful, and now I'm not. And I think how I dealt with it before is just like, I'm a human being. I'm gonna make mistakes. I accept that. I accept that I'm going to make mistakes, and I also accept that I can't change the past, and I accept that if I want to change the future, I have to be the best person I could be today. Now, although I can't predict the future, I can help mold it to what I want it to be by focusing on who I am right now. And if I get too lost in the past, I'm going to be whining over that. I could use the past as a guide to help me not do certain things that I've done in the past that I've failed, but I can't live in the past. I got to live in the now.
Yeah. And the now is pretty damn awesome, isn't it, when you're working on yourself?
Beautiful thing, bro.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's like you said, you turned 43 in May. I turned 43 in February, and I'm like, dude, life is rad. Like,
yeah, it's good. It's great, bro.
Yeah.
It really is. And I think it's only going to get better,
So before we wrap up, I got a couple things to talk about, but one is your one championship role. What's going on in one?
I'm the vice president of grappling, so I basically control all the grappling as much as I could with the budget that we have. I set up all the fights, and I'm actually going next week to announce. I'll be announcing more than just grappling. I'm announcing 2 MMA fights as well. And it's an executive position. It's a full-time gig, man. I have meetings every night from like 12 a.m. to 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I'm up with the kids at 7 a.m. But again, if we're not working, we're dying, right? So it's definitely something I'm passionate about. I want to actually start my own grappling competition with my friend Hayden, probably sometime in the fall or early in 2026. Just trying to give grapplers their shot to make some really good money, and I'm an honest guy. I tell them not what they want to hear. I tell them what the truth is, and that's what they're going to get from me. And I was an athlete, so I know what it feels like.
Like this, because like when you started all this, there was no grappling on anything. Like you had to dig the black side of the internet to find anything about it. But how does it feel now that you see at UFC one? There's all these different, flow, fight to win, W&O, all these different things out there. How does your perception of all that?
I love it, man, and I love being there before it was really big, I think it's a great thing, and I think grappling has so much to offer to all different aspects of life, even if you're not under the bright lights competing, like it just could help you become a better person in general. And it gives you that sense of community. You get in shape, you get fit, you learn how to defend yourself. It's a beautiful thing to see. Now that these athletes got more opportunity as well, I love it.
What is the so obviously it's because of that, the jiu-jitsu and grappling's audience is growing, the interest is growing. There's more people, training. It's one of the fastest growing martial arts right now. Do you have any fear of it becoming watered down, or has it become watered down since your day?
Yes and no. I mean, the academy that we run has to be a little watered down, but I think the matches are always awesome. I think the level's constantly improving. Everybody's getting better. They're super exciting, So no, I don't fear that. I mean, grappling's always grappling. We're never punching each other in our face, so it's never going to be. It might not be as exciting as seeing somebody get their face punched in, but there's some athletes I really like. We got Dante Leon against Tyra Tolo for the 185-pound title in one next weekend, not this weekend, next. And that's going to be
interesting.
Fireworks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And then, so people can find your book on Amazon, right?
Yep.
And then you have a whole list of seminars. Where can people find, if they want to find you and find a seminar, which I highly recommend, guys. I've been to several. What's a good place to find those? Just your social media?
I think just look for the camps I'm going to do. Like right now, I got a camp coming up in Costa Rica in July, and then one for Destination BJJ in early October. That's going to be in Turks and Caicos. A lot of my seminars are with my affiliates, and we'll probably only now. Like I got another seminar in North Carolina in June.
Yeah.
We'll announce that soon, but I mean, just keep your eyes open. I always post it. I'll always post it. I'll post it probably like a month before.
Do you have a favorite one that you do?
I love any camp, you know, because I get to really know the athletes. I get to spend some time in paradise. So that's always the best, you know. I love Costa Rica, man. I absolutely love it.
I was going to say,
I love Joey.
Yeah, the Costa Rica one is solid. Here,
it's incredible.
Hero BJJ, the mission, everything about it is just solid.
100%. Now Joey, who from Destination BJJ, he's doing some amazing things too. Turks and Caicos is gorgeous, you know, so I'm super excited about that as well.
Yeah. Well, dude, I cannot thank you enough, man. You've been a long-time friend. I love learning from you. My jiu-jitsu's gotten better, a lot better because of you. Still working on it, though.
But nah, brother, you're appreciated, man. You're someone I admire. You know, you're the man. It's great to see that you even want to change jiu-jitsu after all that you've done. You don't need to do anything. I always say, if the world's ending, man, remember my address. Come and help me out.
That's the same way, man. I'm building a crew.
I appreciate you, brother.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Take care, bro. Be well.
Hey, guys. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate that. Remember to like it. Remember to drop me a comment. I want to respond to it. I'm actually the one responding to the comments. And if you like this video, you're going to absolutely love this one right here.